we're going to look back at a completely unexpected story involving Tom Brady. After considering a possible return to the field, the former NFL legend reportedly saw his comeback blocked by the league itself due to rules tied to his current status. Officially, this isn't a sports scandal, but an administrative decision that changes everything. And yet, behind this refusal, many are wondering what is really happening behind the scenes. In this video, we're going to break it all down. In late March 2026, Tom Brady stood on a flag football field in Los Angeles, slinging passes for his founder's FFC squad at the Fanatics Flag Football Classic, where his team lost to Team USA and then fell to the Wildcats. He threw touchdowns. He connected with familiar faces. He hit Rob Gronkowski on a two-point conversion. He came off the bench in relief of Jalen Hurts and delivered a fourth-down touchdown pass to Stephon Diggs. Then he posted the clip on social media with a caption that said, "Gets you thinking." The internet went sideways. The throw, combined with his overall movement and timing, led many fans to wonder whether the legendary passer still has something left. After the game, Brady said publicly that the experience reconfirmed he is very happy in my retirement. That sounded final. That sounded settled. Except days later, it wasn't. During a CNBC interview, Brady casually admitted something that blew apart that narrative. The seven-time Super Bowl champion had quietly gone to the NFL and asked about coming back. His exact words, "I actually have inquired, and they don't like that idea very much." He continued, "We explored a lot of different things, and I'm very happily retired. Let me just say that too." Read those words again. He explored a lot of different things. That doesn't describe a casual question. That describes a negotiation. That describes someone who went to the NFL, sat down, possibly through representatives, and tried to find a pathway back onto a football field. And the NFL, the league he dominated for 23 seasons, said no. An NFL spokesperson confirmed that if Brady were to pursue a return to the league, he would first need to divest his ownership stake in the Raiders, citing a 2023 policy that prohibits players or team employees from taking equity in a club. In addition, there would be salary cap issues involving a player-owner, the spokesperson added. So the door isn't locked with some mysterious ban. The problem with a potential second comeback is that the NFL would never allow it given Brady's current role. As a minority owner of the Las Vegas Raiders, the man who won more championships than any other player in the history of the sport, has been told in no uncertain terms that his own success is the thing keeping him out. And here's the part nobody talks about enough. This didn't come from nowhere. Brady indicated that his partial ownership of an NFL team is preventing him from making a return to the field. Back in December 2025, he said virtually the same thing on The Herd. Speaking on the latest episode of The Herd, while discussing Philip Rivers' return, Brady suggested he would follow him out of retirement if it were not for the rule. When asked if he could still generate drives in a familiar offensive scheme, Brady said, "I certainly could. I would say the answer for me would be yes. I'm not allowed to anymore because I'm an owner, a minority owner of the Raiders, so I can't unretire. The fire never went out. The system just built a wall around it." To understand why the NFL had to draw a line in the sand, you have to understand who Tom Brady is at a fundamental, almost molecular level. This is a man for whom retirement has never been a clean break. It's been an ongoing negotiation between his body, his family, and his relentless, almost pathological inability to stop competing. On February 1st, 2022, Brady announced his retirement at age 44. After a thrilling ride and 22 seasons with the Buccaneers and New England Patriots, he put out the kind of heartfelt, sweeping farewell statement that's supposed to close a chapter permanently. He talked about his family. He talked about gratitude. He talked about exploring new chapters of his life. The retirement lasted 40 days. Only 40 days later, on March 13th, 2022, Brady changed his mind. On Instagram, he posted, "These past 2 months, I have realized my place is still on the field and not in the stands." The football world collectively blinked. The greatest quarterback in history had apparently spent 6 weeks sitting in the stands at various events, watching other men compete, and decided he simply couldn't do it. He needed the game. The game evidently needed him. When asked later about his state of mind during the original retirement announcement, Brady admitted at this stage it's like 55% yes and 45% no. It's not 100-0. That's just a reality. He was barely over the fence. The slightest gust of competitive wind could have pushed him back. And that's exactly what happened. There's a fascinating detail about the timing. Brady texted Bucs general manager Jason Licht during the Super Bowl between the Rams and Cincinnati Bengals. Licht turned to his wife, Blair, and says, "He's really into this game. I don't think the fire is out." That was only 2 weeks after retirement. The general manager of his own team could see it on Saturday before his unretirement announcement, after watching Cristiano Ronaldo break the FIFA goals record and score a hat trick for Manchester United. The soccer great asked Brady if he was actually done. While Brady's answer was unclear in the video shared around the web, he certainly looked non-committal. When one aging legend asks another aging legend whether he's really finished, and the answer is a smile and a shrug, the answer is no. So Brady came back for his 23rd season. On the field, his Buccaneers finished below 500, the first Brady squad ever to do so. Brady posted the lowest touchdown rate of his career, throwing for scores on just 3.4% of his passes. His marriage to Gisele Bündchen ended. In October 2022, Brady and Bündchen announced that they had divorced after 13 years of marriage. The unretirement cost him enormously, both personally and professionally. Brady retired after the 2022 NFL season as the most decorated player in league history. This time, it was supposed to stick. Brady signed a 10-year, $375 million contract with Fox in May 2022 while still playing for Tampa Bay. After his last season, he decided in February 2023 to take a year off before moving into the booth. But even this final retirement had cracks. Tom Brady shared on social media that he nearly unretired in May 2023, but didn't end up pulling the trigger because his friends threw him a retirement party. Let that sink in. The only thing that stopped a third era of Tom Brady football was a party. His friends literally had to celebrate him into staying retired. The competitive impulse was so powerful that it required a social intervention to contain. This is the pattern the NFL was looking at when Brady came knocking in 2026. They weren't dealing with a normal retired athlete asking a hypothetical question. They were dealing with a man who had already unretired once, nearly unretired a second time, and was now openly admitting he still had the fire. The league didn't have the luxury of assuming he wasn't serious. The wall that separates Tom Brady from the football field isn't made of age or declining talent. It's made of money, specifically his money invested in the Las Vegas Raiders. 7-time Super Bowl champion quarterback Tom Brady was approved by NFL ownership as a limited partner of the Las Vegas Raiders in October 2024. Brady and his partner now hold 10% in the Raiders, with Brady personally holding a 5% stake. Brady purchased that 5% share of the Raiders alongside Knighthead Capital Management co-founder Tom Wagner and Raiders Hall of Famer Richard Seymour. The deal had been a long time coming. The deal was initially agreed upon in May 2023, but it took owners 17 months to give their approval over concerns Brady was receiving too much of a discount from Davis. 17 months of scrutiny, negotiations, and bureaucratic wrangling before the owners voted unanimously to let Tom Brady into their club. But here's the critical part, the part that would eventually become the invisible cage around his comeback dreams. In July 2023, owners voted to prohibit non-family member employees from having equity in a team, which means Brady would have to sell his stake in the Raiders in order to play for another team. That policy was put in place before Brady was even approved as an owner. It was a preemptive maneuver, a structural barrier designed to prevent exactly the kind of scenario that would unfold nearly 3 years later, when NFL owners approved Brady's minority ownership stake in 2023. The league imposed restrictions explicitly prohibiting active players and certain team employees from holding equity stakes in franchises. The rules target salary cap complications and conflict of interest risks inherent in player-owner dual roles. Think about what this means practically. If Tom Brady wanted to play for, say, the New England Patriots or the San Francisco 49ers or any team in the league, he would first have to sell his ownership piece of the Raiders. That's not flipping a switch. That's a multi-million-dollar financial transaction that involves lawyers, league approval, and likely a lengthy timeline. And even after divesting, returning to the field would also force him to set aside his broadcast role with Fox. So we're talking about walking away from a $375 million broadcasting contract and a piece of an NFL franchise valued at roughly $3.5 billion. The restrictions didn't stop at playing either. When Brady became an owner broadcaster, the NFL slapped a labyrinthine set of limitations on his Fox work. Brady is not permitted to attend in-person or online broadcast production meetings and may not have access to team facilities, players, or coaches. Fox staff is not subject to these limitations. He's effectively operating as a broadcaster with one hand tied behind his back. Kansas City Chiefs owner Clark Hunt, who chairs the finance committee, said, "I think a lot of owners around the league felt that was a potential conflict. It's hard to know whether it will be an actual conflict, but it can be a potential conflict or perceived conflict." The conflict of interest concerns became more acute in September 2025, when the NFL had to address whether Tom Brady violated any rules by wearing a headset in the Las Vegas Raiders coaching booth. During Monday night's game, the league ultimately determined he hadn't broken any rules, with an NFL spokesman stating, "There are no policies that prohibit an owner from sitting in the coach's booth or wearing a headset during a game." But the fact that it became a news cycle at all tells you how precarious Brady's position is. Every move he makes gets examined through the lens of competitive advantage. Brady said since taking a minority stake in the Raiders, he's helped the front office make personnel and coaching decisions in what he called a strategic advisory role. He picks up the phone. He weighs in on quarterbacks. He talks football with the coaching staff. Mark Davis himself said, "Although Tom can't play, I think he can help us select a quarterback in the future and potentially train as well." So Brady is embedded in an NFL organization, getting paid $37.5 million a year to broadcast games and holding an equity stake in a team worth billions. The price of playing again isn't just giving up a roster spot somewhere else. It's dismantling an entire financial empire he's spent years constructing. Brady didn't get blocked because he lost a step. He got blocked because he won too much. What makes the Brady situation so painfully ironic is that other retired quarterbacks have done exactly what he wants to do, and nobody stopped them. A comeback by Brady would not be without precedent in the NFL. Philip Rivers, 44, temporarily came out of retirement last season to start 3 games at quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts after not playing for over 4 years. Rivers hadn't thrown a pass in the NFL since January 2021. He was living in Alabama, coaching high school football, raising his enormous family. Then the Colts quarterback Daniel Jones went down with an injury, and Indianapolis made a phone call that defied all logic. Rivers answered. He signed to the practice squad, got elevated, and started 3 games like it was 2018 all over again. Eric Weddle retired after the 2019 season, came back for the 2021 playoffs, and helped the Rams win Super Bowl LVI. Weddle was sitting at home, coaching youth football in Southern California, when the Rams came calling in January 2022 with a depleted secondary. The veteran safety hadn't played a snap in 2 years. He suited up, started in the NFC Championship game, started in the Super Bowl, made tackles, and earned a ring. The entire journey from couch to confetti took about 3 weeks. Darren Waller stepped away after the 2023 season and returned to the NFL in 2025 with the Dolphins. After battling personal demons and stepping away from the game to focus on his health and well-being, Waller found his way back to football when he felt mentally and physically prepared. No ownership complications, no boardroom negotiations, just a player deciding to play again and a team deciding to sign him. Every one of them walked back onto the field without a single ownership complication. The common denominator in all these comebacks is beautifully simple. None of those players owned a piece of an NFL franchise. They were free agents in the purest sense of the word, free to sign wherever someone would have them. The only questions they had to answer were physical and competitive. Can you still play? And does someone want you? Brady can answer both of those questions. Even though Brady has not played for almost 3 years, he thinks his skills have not gone rusty. Appearing on Shaq's podcast, he said, "I could go out there and play. Give me a month. I could go play with anybody, and teams would want him." It is not unheard of for a team to start a quarterback in his 40s, as the Pittsburgh Steelers appear set to hand the keys to their offense back to a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers in 2026. Joe Flacco turned 41 2 months ago and just signed a deal to return to the Cincinnati Bengals. The NFL has never been more friendly to aging quarterbacks. The game has shifted toward quick release, cerebral passers who read defenses before the snap. That was always Brady's superpower, not arm strength, not mobility, but processing speed and decision-making that borders on precognitive. Brady won his last Super Bowl at 43. He played his final season at 45. He turns 49 in August 2026. The gap between 45 and 49 is significant. But every time someone has written Tom Brady's athletic obituary, he's come back and made them look foolish. The difference now isn't his body, it's his bank account. Brady is the only legend whose own success made the door too expensive to open. Rivers walked back in for free. Weddle walked back in for free. Waller walked back in for free. Brady would have to pay a staggering fortune in lost equity, lost broadcasting income, and lost organizational influence just to earn the right to compete for a roster spot. It's the most expensive tryout in the history of professional sports, and the NFL designed it that way. So here's the question at the heart of all of this. Did the NFL actually announce a lifetime ban on Tom Brady? The short answer is no. There is no document anywhere in the NFL's records titled Lifetime Ban, Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr. There was no press conference, no formal disciplinary action, no Roger Goodell letter telling Brady he's been permanently expelled from the league. This isn't Deflategate, where the Deflategate scandal resulted in Brady being suspended for the first 4 games of the 2016 NFL season, while the Patriots were fined $1 million and forfeited 2 draft selections. There is no investigation, no arbitration hearing, no courtroom battle. What exists instead is something far more sophisticated and, depending on your perspective, far more effective. Brady's inquiry did something no comeback attempt has ever done. It proved a governance rule works. The ownership restrictions were theoretical until the greatest quarterback alive walked into the league office and pressure tested them. The NFL didn't need to ban Brady. They built a system in which he effectively banned himself. When Brady purchased his 5% stake in the Raiders, he walked through a door that locks from the inside. The 2023 ownership policy that prohibits active players from holding equity in a franchise wasn't drafted with Brady's name on it, but it might as well have been. The league didn't just reject a comeback attempt. They enforced a structural boundary that anticipated exactly this kind of test case. And the conflict of interest concerns go deeper than most people realize. Allowing Brady to be an active player and part owner would open Pandora's box and allow other NFL players to seek the same arrangement, which the NFL's other owners certainly wouldn't want. Being able to lure free agents with promises of ownership wouldn't go down well. Imagine a world where star quarterbacks demand equity stakes as part of their contract negotiations. Imagine a player holding ownership in one team while playing for another, with access to proprietary information about salary cap strategies, personnel plans, and coaching tendencies. The competitive integrity implications are staggering. Brady, perhaps more than any athlete alive, understands the power dynamics that govern professional sports. He's been on both sides of it. He was the underpaid star who restructured his contracts to help the Patriots build around him. He was the player who fought the league in court over Deflategate and lost. And now he's the owner who can't play because the ownership rules say so. He's lived the full circle, from exploited employee to empowered entrepreneur to gilded prisoner. The NFL has drawn a hard line between ownership and playing. And Brady now sits on the ownership side. Unless rules change or he walks away from ownership, the comeback remains exactly what it is right now. A conversation, not a comeback. Could Brady sell his Raiders stake and come back? Technically, yes. In order to become NFL eligible, Brady would have to divest from the Raiders. But the practical reality makes it nearly impossible. Knowing his competitive nature, it is difficult to envision him suiting up. If not to fight for another championship, it is asking a whole lot of a team to construct a Super Bowl caliber roster around a player who has been out of the league for 5 years. So what we're left with is this. Tom Brady asked the NFL if he could come back. The NFL said the rules don't allow it. Not as a punishment, not as a ban, but as a structural consequence of choices Brady himself made. He chose ownership. Ownership chose permanence. And the greatest quarterback who ever lived will spend the rest of his football existence calling games from the booth and advising from the suite, watching other men do what he did better than anyone, knowing the only thing standing between him and the field is a rule that his own wealth activated. He says he's very happily retired. He also says he could play with anyone given a month. Both things are probably true, and neither one changes the fact that the NFL built a perfect cage, one that Tom Brady paid $220 million to walk into, and one that no amount of competitive fire can burn through. The ban isn't written on paper, it's written in the bylaws, in the ownership agreements, and in the cap implications that make a player-owner an impossibility in the modern NFL. For all practical purposes, Tom Brady is done. Not because the league said so in a press conference, but because the system he joined was designed from the ground up to make sure that once you cross from player to owner, you never cross back.